Hi, everyone. Today, we will analyze how the different socio-demographic factors relate to substance use in the United States of America.
So I studied how certain states have a much higher death rate and number of deaths than others. The graphs show this for the most part, where each different colored dot represents a different state. The only difference between the states that is being taken accounted for is in these graphs is geographical location of the state. Therefore, I came to the conclusion that the relationship of some of these states having a higher death rate or number of deaths due to overdoses than others is most likely due to aspects of those states other than geographical location.
We also looked at how rates of marijuana use in teenagers vary state to state compared to regional and national averages and in terms of legalization status. Most existing studies looking at teenage marijuana use focus mostly on safety and the long-term effects. Compared to the national average of 12 to 17-year-olds using marijuana in the past month and year, the following states in red have higher than national average use rates. When comparing states to average of their region, the following states in red had the highest percentage of teenagers using marijuana. States where recreational marijuana is legal, despite it only being legal to people over the age of 21, consistently saw higher rates of teenage use monthly, yearly, regionally, and nationally.
I looked at the relationship between age and percentage of patients who remain drug-free after treatment. Previous work only looked at opiate usage and ages from young teens to mid-20s. Age is not a predictor of relapse following inpatient treatment, although there is a slight negative trend.
The main question was, what is the impact of having no adult supervision and substance use for teenagers grades 6th, 8th, and 10th? The main gap are that there were a lot of missing and skipped questions, which will be seen on the next slide. The survey contained over 215 observations. The questions analyzed for tobacco and alcohol were question 22 and 32. Since the survey was quite extensive, this could be an indicator as to why there is a higher count for missing and skipped questions. But the next highest count would be 0 days to 1 to 2 days, and they were equally the same amount of observations.
In regards to education, our question was to find a relationship between higher education and both month and annual drug use counts. Other studies focus on alcohol, marijuana, or smoking, but fail to look at substance use as a whole. College graduates show a lower proportion of both month and annual drug use, while the lower three levels of education show similar proportions for each count. The magnitude of the difference is similar for both durations. The largest difference occurs in the jump from 0 to 1 drugs used, mostly due to the fact that these drug counts make up a majority of the data set. The chi-squared tests for both time domains yield p-values almost equal to 0, which tells us to reject the idea of independence between education and number of drugs used. The two variables are in fact dependent.
My analysis focused on the relationship between employment status in adults and substance use within a given month and a given year. There were similar studies done that showed the relationship between only unemployed adults and heavy drinking, smoking, and cannabis use, whereas my analysis included a variety of substance and different employment status. When looking at the three employment status, full-time, part-time, and unemployed, you can see that adults who are employed with a full-time job have lower substance use within a span of a certain month and a year. However, the proportion of count of drugs was pretty consistent among all three factors, with the 0 drugs being the highest count. Overall, we can conclude that societal factors and choices do influence the use of substance in the United States.